Well, what's up, internet? We're Birthday Party, and we got our boy Defunk right here, and we're gonna talk about our recent release called Time Machine that just came out not too long ago. Logan, say what's up to the internet, everyone on the internet.
What is up, internet people? Coming at you from the cold white north here in Canada. Just dropped Time Machine a week ago. Where has the time gone? Holy crap!
In reverse.
Time Machine, we could probably find out.
Exactly.
Turns out the time machine we create is just like a watch.
It tells time. It doesn't let you travel through it. It's pretty whack, actually.
It's the Wish version of a time machine.
Just a clock.
So this track was a project that, Defunk had started, and he had the idea. I don't know if it was explicitly made to be something for us. I think it was just kind of a project that, oh yeah, this would kind of fit with a little bit of birthday partiness on it. And you had the song called like Dead Mouse type track or something like that because of this lead.
Dead Mouse type beat.
Dead Mouse type beat.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just Canadians ripping off Canadians.
Well, no, so quite a bit of my music is around the 90 to 100 BPM range, right? So I wanted to sort of build out a track that had a long sort of epic intro that I could kind of build out from some of my other music and kind of build into a little bit of a house section. And so that was kind of the initial, as far as I can remember, that was kind of the initial thought process of wanting to have sort of like a big sort of cinematic intro to this song. And then I think I think I was just sort of inspired by different synths and that.
So you must have listened to some Dead Mouse at the time, and then.
Yeah, because I think I started off with it was like a synth organ and kind of built out that chord progression.
Yeah.
And it became kind of an arpeggiator, and then, made it kind of sound more electro.
And then you had that lead on there. You love to do your leads because you love to jam out in your sets. And
yeah,
we'll play a little bit of this intro and I'll show kind of the stems because this came all entirely in audio. You don't produce in Ableton, right? You produce in something else?
In Reason.
Reason. Oh, you badass. You
mad lad.
Mad lad. All right. So we're going to play a little bit of this intro and I'll show kind of some of the sounds that came in.
I've been waiting all this time. I've been waiting all this time, yeah.
So we got this kind of organ-y pad thing in here. It doesn't sound the most organ-y. It sounds kind of organ-y. Or is there another organ that I might have missed?
Just got like a massive flanger on it.
Yeah, I think it started off as an organ, then I kind of dialed it back a little bit. Like when I say organ, I think
you went like full ghosts and stuff, and then brought it back to like
exactly. It is specifically the ghosts and stuff kind of remake.
Right. So we had a vocal at the very intro of this where it just says time, and that was my perfect rendition of it.
That's why it's called Time Machine.
That's why it's called Time Machine. But these vocals in here. So it just says vocal atmosphere, and this was really the whole intro. And we'd already decided on the name Time Machine because it was kind of like a blast to the past, I guess. There's some arps in here, I think is what when he was talking about. It's not really doing too much over time, but it's laying like a nice pattern, a nice bass down. Sparkle.
Exactly, yeah.
So we had this nice melodic intro and some vocals, and then the build started up the hype. And you delivered to us with the whole build, which is great because I hate doing builds.
Basically, yeah. No, I'm not gonna say I love writing build-ups, but
you're very good at it
in writing build-ups, yeah.
Yeah, and you got to do what you're good at. So we'll play this build up a little bit, and then we'll piece together the drop. I'll be able to open up some of these patches, and we'll be able to get a little bit more into it than just showing some audio files individually. That turnaround there, I had to steal this little bit from the intro right here. This because that was that ba-da, 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 which is the lead that just got me hooked on the whole idea.
And then we also got to do a little subtle branding and just stick in a little party with me.
Yeah, I don't even know what it's saying. There's like some hype vocals in here that really don't make sense by themselves. Like this one's saying, get your ass to the back of the line. So it's like ass to the, and then party degrees. Like they're different vocals, and they just somehow work together. And it's like one of those things with hype vocals. I feel like it doesn't matter all that much what they're saying.
No.
Not even.
They're basically just like instrumentation at that point. It's just little elements that you're sprinkling in there. That's how I think of little fill vocals anyways.
3 seconds after that, no one's gonna remember what that hype vocal was. It was just like, hey,
there's like,
words.
The thing.
The thing.
Yeah.
I honestly did not know what that vocal said, and I never like took the opportunity to like solo it out to listen to it. I was just
coming
like,
from
okay,
someone that had the whole project file. All right, so let's talk about this drop. So like Logan sent the track, I started this drop, and I remember that I really wanted to have something very, very funky. Shocker. Because Defunk. I started playing around with a very powerful sub and a sax sample. So if I listen to the drop, there's like this really consistent beat of just that one nice little sax loop of like 1, 2, 3, and on like the 3 of every beat. So I had that, and then I just had this sub patch in here that was just like a nice little punchy sub. Yeah, this is just like a kind of like overdriven sine wave. Like literally all it is a sine wave and some overdrive. Like we did this in Phase Plant.
Filter.
There's not even a filter. We did this in Phase Plant, which is like way overkill for this one. And I think what really helped, or what really made this like key, is to have a little bit of decay on this, so that at the beginning of the hit, it's hitting harder into the distortion. At the end of it, it's more clean. And I think another thing that was really important was to have like a little bit of release. If I like solo the sub and pull up this little oscilloscope plugin, you'll see that the notes don't end like very suddenly. There's like a little bit of a tail at the end, and you're seeing a little bit of ducking because of the sidechain, but like there's not really any hard spaces between these, even though there are hard like cuts like the end of the sub. So like that's, I think one thing that's really important is to like really keep the low end support there. Like so my logic behind the drop was to keep something that was like very repetitive, that you could really hammer into people's brains. So like there's the heavy downbeat wub, which is actually repurposed from 2 different tracks. So this downbeat, so this is actually really funny. So the lead is called BS Day Drink, which Day Drink is another song of ours that we made. I actually repurposed the downbeat of that, and obviously edited like a little bit, added some post-processing to use as the downbeat here. So there's like a little filter cutoff that's varying slightly between different ones. So like these are all a little bit different than these filters. And what's I just noticed that I didn't even realize at the time is that the original patch in Serum here is called French Fries, which is another track of ours. So that one in Day Drink was repurposed from French Fries, which is probably modified from some like preset, you know. So this one has basically just some amplitude modulation on like 2 sides and sines. Oh, sorry. This one's actually a little bit more of a complex waveform, and then it's getting amplitude modulated by a sine wave to kind of break up the very harsh harmonics. If I take this off, it sounds a lot more like washy, and it doesn't have that like low fundamental like crunch on it. So we've got these 2 things doing like a little bit of a call and response with these downbeats and these saxophones here. So then we had that, and that kind of was like the whole basis of the drop. We also had this layer. Cool. So like, I think the most important thing here is that it's like it's following the sub, except for a couple little spaces where there are some fill basses. So if we listen to the drop by itself, you'll hear a very consistent like trading places of all these different sounds. So like you've got that, and then there are also a couple fill basses that we didn't mention earlier, and this is a phase plant 1. I'm not sure what's going on here. It's just a nice little screechy thing. This looks like it was this was also made from that Cashmere sax sample in phase plant. I think this is when we'd just gotten phase plant that I started working on this, and it looks like the sax sample is being frequency modulated by like a saw wave. So for whatever reason, a sax sounds like this. Pretty wild.
Just gets real weird.
Real weird.
That is very cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone watching, this is Logan's first time looking at the final project file.
It is.
He's just like, here's some stems. Do something.
Make something.
Here's some shit. Make it cool, basically.
And I hope we did that. But yeah, dude, highly recommend it. You look into that. So like you can do it in phase plant, and we love phase plant. You can also do it in Vital, which is a free synth. Just that being like FMing and doing all kinds of processing from samples. It's like a really easy way to take something like organic and make it like sound cool like that.
And make it sound not organic.
Not organic. Very, dude, that's so not organic. So yeah,
Not that you funk people do not organic sounds. You're all about your real instruments.
Exactly.
So we've got a house loop in here. Well, the actual drums, the main drums that are here, were actually cut from the original drums house loop that you sent us. So you sent us, there's a little kick here, and all these drums here are from drums-house loop, which is just the file of the stem. So we've got,
part of the reason for that is that we hate working in audio with drums.
I hate it so much.
We are morally opposed to it. It just doesn't mesh. If something in here doesn't do audio drums right, I'm like, I need to see little blocks. I don't want to see waveforms.
Agreed.
Yeah. So the original drums were like this. Nice little shuffle, nice snare work in there. I did end up replacing the kick like later on when I was just getting like super picky. I actually it didn't look like I replaced it. I just moved it into a different channel and soloed it. So that's still the original one. I think it's because I wanted to take this whole bus, which has some like some post-processing on it, and add like a little bit of room reverb. Like if I play it dry, it's very dry. And then if I turn it on, it just feels like it's coming from like a real space, and it just sounds more natural to be like in like a room, but it's not like you would hear a reverb on that. Let's move on, I think, like to the second drop. So coming out of the drop, I think it was like really important to reinforce like the defunk bits at like every turnaround and like wherever I could kind of like pepper it in, because that creates like a sense of cohesion, especially when there's like collabs going on. You really need to like make sure that it's not like a defunk intro and a birthday party drop only, you know?
You should constantly be trying to rip off the other person while you're making it.
I like that. So this part is really just kind of like a repetition of the intro bits, and I changed the notes of the sub to just like kind of follow the chords that I think the intro bits came from. And then we've got this second bit.
Classic EDM blowout.
Classic EDM blowout. And then the second bit is, the second intro is kind of like a lot of repurposing of the intro stuff, especially like these chords that came from here.
It's just basically copy pasted of the original intro. Plus or minus like some things.
Yeah, so like things that are different is I have a lead in here that I call Day Drink lead. That's another thing that I borrowed from our song Day Drink. And of course, you know, edited and tweaked and whatever. But I found like if you've got like some kind of lead or some kind of bass that works as a starting point, like there's no reason for you to completely reinvent the wheel. Why don't you take the wheel you already got, give it a fresh coat of paint, and maybe some like spinning rims or something.
Every track needs some spinners.
Yeah.
So this lead,
my ride, put a TV in the back seat, just like exhibit.
Yo, dog, I heard you like MIDI clips, so I put a MIDI clip in your MIDI clip, dog.
So we got this lead coming in here, which is like really the biggest like new part of this section, because you got like the vocals and everything. But here's this lead, just fading in nice and slowly, and that's just like a nice little intro. And then there's actually a little bit of a new section where I've got a kind of organ type bass on here.
Oh, they did something new. Wasn't a complete copy paste. See, we're musicians.
We're real artists. And it's not like a straight up organ bass, but it's an organ bass in that it's got that like low bass and the overtone, kind of like an organ bass does. And I think the whole
derivative.
Yeah. And I think the whole idea here was that we had like just to kind of like keep things like interesting enough while reinforcing the same melodies, and of course like the vocal, which is like the thing that will catch people's attention. It's like a splice vocal that we messed with, but like it's kind of the thing that catches people's humanity, I think. And that's why we wanted to reinforce that and reinforce the melodies that started this whole thing.
And we also had to make sure we didn't just use the stuff Defunk used.
True.
Because we are musicians too, no matter what the internet will tell you.
True. So let's unsolo this guy. And then here I took a little bit of drums in here. Like this is like a little shuffly drum thing to just kind of sit in the back. It's very similar to the drum loop in the drop, but I just tucked it into the back, and I actually reduced a little bit of volume to from like the drop, so that it's not like full in your face drums.
For anybody that looks at this effects chain and is scared, they're like, oh, they're doing so much. Like half of these are utilities that just like turn the volume down.
Yeah, like I've got 3 utilities on my screen right now, and 2 things that are like disabled.
That are just turned off, yeah. And not
Smex,
even like
this one's not even like doing automated. Anything.
It's just off and not even doing anything. And we're just not going to clean it up at this point.
Smexoscope is on, but it doesn't affect it at all. So it's a very messy patch. So like, I mean, the main things I think that would be worth talking about here is like for the clap here, we had like a very low heavy clap, and I didn't want that getting in the way of the kick drum. So we like cut out the lows. So I did that, and then I realized that when I was mastering it, that whenever the kick drum happened at the same time as the clap, it would reduce the volume of the kick drum just because it was slamming into the limiter hard. So I needed to reduce the like peak level of my clap, which is why I use this little clipper rack that I did. Basically, all this clipper does is it adds gain into a glue compressor with soft clipping on, and then immediately compensates for that gain after it, so that we're maintaining the same volume, but we're clipping and like reducing the peak level. And that was really important for the master. But yeah, this looks a lot scarier than it is, and that's why I'm trying to focus on like really what's important and like the thought process behind it, rather than like the nitty gritty. So let's play this intro again, which is awesome, or the build up, which is awesome, and then John can talk about the second drop that you did. Cool. So John, do you want to tell us the thought process about this track and how you kind of approached it, having the bones of the first drop?
So the first thing I did was copy and paste.
Copy and paste. Gotcha.
Because I'm not gonna again I don't need to completely redo the whole arrangement of the drop. Like I just need to make sure that it's like I just need to make it my own a little bit more.
Only when it sucks you redo the drop.
Correct. Also sometimes when it's good, and then I make it suck, and then we just go back to how it was. Because I'm shit sometimes. But what my first priority was just to make this one lead a little bit more consistent and just a slightly different tonality. So I just kind of evened things out in phase plant, like copied the preset and just those little like tweaks to get it a little more consistent. And then I was like, okay, I just want to make this weirder. Like I want it to be a little more like wubby and like moving basses rather than this like fairly constant like sustainy bass. And so I was like, okay, let's stick some weird wubs in there. And I'm pretty sure those are from
All My
probably
Friends.
Yeah.
This is from our All My Friends remix. So we can listen. Let's take a look at this this lead here. So this instrument rack here is the lead, and I just opened up the phase plant. And yeah, he's right. So this uses that sax sample. And it doesn't really sound like a sax sample, but that's the beauty of working with samples, is that like when you add like FM or something from digital waveforms, you're still getting like the flowing of that organic sound, and you're getting the processing of like the digitalness. And it's like you get stuff that you can't really program in.
You get stuff that you would never intentionally program in.
Right.
Maybe a better way to put it. Because like, and that's the cool thing about like resampling stuff is just like, I would never think to make that exact sound. Like I'm never going for that sound on purpose, but
Yeah.
I'll just end up there sometimes.
Yeah, that's the
like,
bonus of resampling.
And then I had these weird wubs from our All My Friends remix that I was super proud of. And I'm like, I'm going to use those everywhere. And so I threw them in the track and modified them just a little bit because I already liked the tonality of them. And then,
well, let's show these basses in here. So those are all nice little cuts.
Little
and this
audio
looks,
rips.
2018, 11. Oh, wow. This is like a over 2-year-old patch. And this is like an FM Neuros that you made. Is this like one of your own sound designs?
Probably.
So let's just like drag this guy out and hear what it sounds like. It's probably going to sound weird with like, all these,
all the processing on it,
but
just weird moving bass just to like create that weird movement. And then I just took like these little shortcuts.
That sounds bad on its own.
Yeah, it does. That's why I only used a little bit.
But so it's like that one, right? These are one, and then the other one was your All My Friends.
Yeah, and those are like the really cool, like just very clean, like wubby type sounds that I wanted to play with.
Very clean and crunchy. So this is Frozen. Is it originally Frozen from All My Friends, or is there?
So. Yeah, it was one of those like it's not a very tonal bass. It's kind of like moving around anyway. So I was like, yeah, let's just stick it in there and see what happens. And then it worked. And so I stopped.
John is really good at like trying like all kinds of other.
My goal is to break things. And if I'm not breaking things, then it's not a successful writing session. And the great thing about that is that it makes Brian really angry. And so I get to spend my entire writing session.
I hate you so much right now.
What could I do to piss off Brian just a little bit more? And that usually leads to our coolest ideas.
We have such great content right here. That's a wrap, boys. We didn't really like actually go too deep into any of these sounds, but I think like more valuable is going to be like the kind of thought process behind it.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally. Well, yeah, no, for sure. So that was great, guys. Thank you so much for having me on and discussing this track. This track was so much fun putting together with you. I think it was an idea that I knew that you guys were going to do something amazing with.
I'm gonna go cry.
And it came together, you know, like one of the best things about collaborating is that you never know where the song is going to go. Mm-hmm. Like you have your own direction in mind, bring it to somebody else, and it can go completely west or east. I mean, you just never know where it's going to go, and it always lands somewhere super interesting. And that's what I love so much about working with other artists.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah,
it feels good, dude. And yeah, I mean, we obviously had a lot of fun with it. It's been getting some support, and it was a lot of fun to make, and we've been rinsing it. It's not one of the songs where we make it and it's like and then like stop playing it. So this is steady in the rotation and will be for the foreseeable future. So we're really happy with it, and it was obviously really dope to make a tune with you after being a fan and then a homie for a while. So
yeah, likewise.